Doctor said you got PCOS. Now go on, girl, just lose some weight. Till I took the symptoms into my own hands and reversed them naturally.
Well, welcome to today's podcast with a sister and her mister. It's your PCOS personal trainer and your PCOS dietitian. If you're listening on audio, everything maybe sounds normal to you, or maybe it sounds even better because we've just upgraded our mics and we're testing video out to bring back the video podcast to YouTube. So this may be released or may not be, depending on how we like the outcome.
Yeah. So check YouTube. Maybe it's on there. Maybe it's not. But this is really quite a trip.
Yes.
I feel very self-conscious. Should I talk into the mic? Should I look at the camera? Is the background okay? We just put up our Christmas decorations. So it's fun to share it if we post the video.
Yeah. I mean, you'll know on Instagram if we did. We'll talk all about it. But yeah, we're in our kitchen. We're going to start filming podcasts in the new year. This is just like some practice, see how it goes, find the right spots. So if you're a listener for a long time, you're going to appreciate the newer content. We're going to make some more fun, engaging content with like videos and stuff. So stay tuned. We're going to have fun with this.
Yes.
Cool. With that being said, today's episode is going to be all about what your first step of your PCOS journey should be. You know, with the new year coming, a lot of people, which is very normal, like everybody in the world waits for that new year, January 1st, to be like, okay, I'm going to start my resolutions. I'm going to maybe,
fresh.
I'm going to maybe start a new diet, or maybe I'm going to start meditating, new habits. Maybe your goals are losing weight, or it's just managing certain things. So, I mean, before we get into it, do you have any New Year resolutions, like things that you want to start with?
Fitness-wise, I really want to do the 12-3-30 method almost every day. So I'm really excited about that.
Okay.
Hopefully
almost
you
every
get
day.
me a treadmill, yeah.
That's Stallion's Christmas request.
And
treadmill.
then the next thing I'm really thinking that I should work on is managing my schedule better so that everything's not so back to back and I don't feel like deadlines are always just around the corner. Getting ahead of the game because we're getting this dog and I really want to be able to enjoy the dog. And I really want to create space in my schedule for the dog because when we have a baby one day, I'm not pregnant, but you know what I'm saying? I really want to have that kind of schedule where I can raise the child and you know what I mean? So right now I just feel really hectic and busy and I want to clean that up so that I have time for this dog / future baby. How about you?
I don't know. I love your resolutions. It's all about making your life easier, simpler, and thing. Mine are kind of about sleep, meaning I want to wake up earlier, 7 o'clock or not 6:30. I want to wake up at 6:30 every day and start my day off earlier. I want to meditate more consistently. And then number 3, I want to start playing piano every night, start learning the piano as well as, I've been learning the guitar, but piano as well.
That's cool.
Yeah, get a little bit Chopin. By the way, the funny thing about this this new setup that we have, if this video gets released, you can see it right now. But I have this soundboard, guys. I haven't set up the soundboard, but it has 4 default sounds to play when there's a moment of soundness. So I'll play all 4 on this episode, but I won't play them all at once, just so you don't see it coming. Okay.
Okay.
So.
How do you know which one's which? You memorized it, right?
I kind of did, yeah. We can edit. We can customize them later, but I haven't had the chance to do that yet. So,
okay.
I guess that takes us into this episode, though. Let's get it started, Tyne.
Okay, let's get it started. So today we're going to talk about what your first steps should be, but of course, the first steps to managing PCOS is different for everyone because PCOS is not a one-size-fits-all type of situation. Everyone has their unique PCOS types. Some symptoms are stronger than others, and so your first step might be different than somebody else's. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to go through the different PCOS types, and we're going to break them down and give you your first steps depending on which PCOS type you resonate with most right now. So let's hop into it.
Cool.
The first PCOS type, insulin resistance. I'm sure you've heard about it. I'm sure your doctor may have mentioned it because 80% of women with PCOS struggle with this. If your doctor didn't mention it, make sure you have your insulin and glucose tested, and maybe you could take a look at that with your doctor and make sure. Whether or not it shows up on your blood work doesn't really mean you don't have, like if your labs are perfectly fine, it doesn't mean you're not insulin resistant. You might be slightly insulin resistant, and this can lead to PCOS symptoms like uncontrollable cravings, irregular periods, having poor blood sugar control, so you feel really, really hungry before lunch or starving before dinner, and then you eat and your blood sugar goes up and you need a nap. And, that kind of irregular blood sugar control. These are major signs and symptoms of insulin resistance. So if you're really struggling with sugar cravings and everything I just listed, this might be the first thing you want to tackle with PCOS.
Yeah. And we're going to give you some next steps for each PCOS type, but keep in mind you may have multiple different PCOS types that we'll talk about today. And if that's the case, you might want to combine the steps that we recommend. Another thing to keep in mind is if you're wondering what your PCOS type is, if you go to the description, we have a completely free PCOS type quiz where it will take you about 1 to 2 minutes. Very easy. You answer some questions, and at the end of it, it will tell you what your PCOS type may be with some next steps to follow. So it gives you some direction. So you're not just like, it's not like you're a blind bat in a cave. I don't know if that's a correct terminology or some sort of a thing that people use these days, but that's what I'm going for. So, Ty, I want to ask though, what is insulin resistance? Because we have a video.
Okay.
And it would be really good for you to explain it on video. I can do the visuals if you want, or you do the visuals
got it.
too.
You do the visuals. I'll do the explaining. Listen, we need to understand insulin resistance if we have PCOS. And I can explain it in a really simple way and just break it down for you so that you can understand what's going on metabolically with your body. So when you eat something, especially carbs, it breaks down into sugar. And that sugar should go into your cells, and you should be able to burn it up for energy and, have good energy throughout the day. But because we have PCOS and sometimes we're at a metabolic disadvantage, we don't have the correct ratio of inositols in our cells. Therefore, what's supposed to happen is the hormone insulin is supposed to take that sugar and give it to your cells to burn it up for energy. But because we don't have that correct ratio of inositols, the insulin and the cell can't communicate. That's why sometimes taking an inositol supplement can be really helpful for so many women, and I'm sure you've heard of that before. And so because of that miscommunication between insulin and your cell's not getting that sugar to burn it up, what happens, the sugar goes and it stores as fat, specifically around your internal deep organs like your liver, in your midsection. That's why it's hard to burn belly fat, because that's just where it goes.
Is this also why women with PCOS tend to have fatty liver or higher chances of fatty liver?
Yes, especially if you're insulin resistant.
Stores, or the fat stores in the liver.
Yes, around it. And then that makes it difficult for your liver to process hormones and excrete excess estrogens and stuff like that. So anyways, not to get too sciencey, but the insulin, instead of doing its job, which is to give your cells the sugar to burn up for energy, now it's just floating around. And what does it do? It goes to your ovaries and it triggers high testosterone. And that's so annoying because high testosterone in your ovaries will make you have irregular periods. Mm-hmm. It'll make you have symptoms of PCOS like ovarian cysts. It is the leading cause of infertility that you can absolutely reverse. Yeah. And it's just really annoying. So we have to figure it out with our insulin resistance.
Hold on. I'm going to use a soundboard. Applause. Applause for Taline. That's enough.
Okay.
Right. Cool. So what would be the next steps if someone's going to start in their new year, it's January 1st, or they're planning out the new year? What should be some steps to cater around insulin resistance, keeping in mind that 80% of women with PCOS, so if you're watching, more than likely there's an 80% chance you have insulin resistance. So these steps are something you should be probably following starting in January.
Yeah. I mean, the first easiest thing you could do is just eat a high protein breakfast. Have a smoothie with 2 scoops of protein powder. Make sure it's not whey because that's dairy, and I'll get into why. But I use pea protein. And so when you have a high protein breakfast, what happens is you stabilize your blood sugar for several hours until lunch. Then you have your lunch and your blood sugar is not on this roller coaster. I'll give you an example. Yesterday, I didn't have my high protein breakfast because after my workout, we had to pick up my sister's car that got towed. And then I had to go to the grocery store. But before I went into the grocery store, I had to look at what I needed to buy because I was going to film something. And so and I worked out, and now it's 11 o'clock, and I went to the grocery store, and I still haven't had breakfast. And so what did I do? The first thing I saw was a gluten and dairy-free cookie. It was like literally the first thing in the grocery store. And I was like, if this isn't a sign from God, I don't know what is. So I grabbed it and I ate it. That's right, I ate it at like 11:30 at this point. And then I came home, and I mean, I don't know what I ate for the rest of the day. Like, I was distracted by my work. I was late for everything. I had like leftover pork for lunch, and then I had like a bite of like salmon for dinner. And then some weird things in between, and it's all because I didn't start my day right. I did not have my high protein breakfast, and I thought to myself, wow, if I did this every day and ate like this, my insulin resistance would be out of control.
Yeah, and that's like what we always talk about, like your breakfast is literally the most important meal of the day, not because of like the whole like common like statement.
Generic statement.
It's because for PCOS and insulin resistance, if you don't have breakfast in the morning, it's going to set you up for cravings later in the day, and your body basically not having enough fuel or resources to slow down the absorption of carbs and sugars. So that's why it's really important to have that protein, so you're just able to it's like your body's running on efficient fuel throughout the day.
Oh yeah, exactly. So then the next thing is to cut out dairy for 30 days and see how you feel, see if it helps. So that's why I mentioned not having a dairy
Wait, were we just talking about breakfast, or were we
breakfast, and then I mentioned not having whey protein.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's why I jumped into dairy.
Yeah, go for it.
So whey protein is dairy, and that has insulin-like growth factor in it, which can trigger high insulin levels for like a period of time after you eat the dairy. So like not immediately, but over the course of the day, like your insulin levels will be higher than they would have been. And so it's called like the incretin effect that dairy has. And that's why if you're insulin resistant, it's worth cutting out dairy to see.
Yes, absolutely. And speaking of Tyne's workouts, our next tip for insulin resistance is going to be lifting weights. Weight training, strength training, aka like slow weighted workouts, are one of the most important workouts you should be incorporating to your weekly routine. We're talking about doing it 3 to 4 times a week, and research shows that just doing strength training like today will improve your insulin sensitivity for the next day by up to 50%, which is amazing. Just one workout is going to improve your insulin sensitivity for the next day by a huge amount. So imagine if you're doing that 3 to 4 times a week, you're doing it consistently for months. That's going to help fix your metabolism and help you burn fat even better, more efficiently. So if you're trying to figure out what should be my workout plan starting this new year, highly recommend trying out slow weighted workouts 3 to 4 times a week. Start with like once or twice a week to get your body used to it, and then once you feel like you're acclimated, this is part of your normal routine, try to up it to 3 days a week. Of course, that's like the plan that we have in the Sisterhood app. When you have your workout plan, it basically goes like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, with a fourth optional workout if you want to.
Yes. All right, let's get into the next PCOS type, and that's inflammation. So this is what happens when your immune system is chronically activated, and you have these inflammatory signals that are secreted constantly at a low level, and it's really common with women with PCOS. And these like inflammatory signals actually act directly on your ovaries and cause you to overproduce testosterone. And so that can trigger your fat cells to turn insulin resistant as well. And it can lead to a lot of PCOS symptoms.
Yeah, totally.
So some of the major symptoms are cystic acne, bloating, weight gain, fatigue, irritable bowel syndrome, allergies, joint pain, if you have like arthritis, anxiety, and just feeling irritable.
I mean, so many sisters have told us that once they eat gluten, something with gluten in it, like they immediately feel bloated afterwards.
Yeah.
And that's something Tyne had experienced in the past before too. So if you're experiencing bloating right after eating gluten, that's a sign of inflammation. And what happens is, we talk about this so many times in the past, but gluten activates a protein called zonulin, which I'm going to start my visuals now.
Better.
It activates a protein called zonulin, which regulates the junctions in your intestines. So in your intestines, there are these junctions that are very tight that prevent the foods going through your intestines. It prevents them going into your bloodstream. It's like a wall. But what happens when you eat gluten is it activates the protein called zonulin, which opens up those tight junctions. As you can see in the YouTube video that we might post, opens it up, And then now, as you can see, there are bigger holes, and that's when bacteria, foreign particles, things in the food can get through into your bloodstream, and that causes an inflammatory battlefield. Your body sees this foreign stuff coming in and is basically saying, send in the white blood cells to fight off this foreign stuff. We don't know what it is. And that's where you get that bloating feeling, that inflammation. It's essentially after eating gluten.
And imagine when you eat it in every meal. Now you have chronic inflammation if you are sensitive to gluten. So it's really worth figuring it out.
And not to, cut you off, but now let's think about what's in the gluten, right? It's not just gluten that's it's hard for our body to digest. It can cause digestive issues. It's not just that anymore. It's also the glyphosate, which is a very, very harmful endocrine disrupting pesticide that's on all gluten in the United States. So if that's the case...
so many other things too.
So many other things too. So imagine that's what's going into your bloodstream is glyphosate, which has been shown to cause cancer, which has been shown to affect hormones, has been shown to, what's the word? Stops people from... there's a word for it, but I'm not... Essentially, you get where we're going. So something to be very aware of. I've even reduced my gluten consumption because even though I don't have PCOS, I feel everybody should reduce gluten to a certain extent. You shouldn't be having it personally every single day for every single meal, not just if you have PCOS too.
Yeah, considering what they've done to gluten, especially in the United States.
Yeah.
And glyphosate is on everything. I mean, the other day I was reading a post and it said that Bonza chickpea pasta, the gluten-free one, has the most glyphosate they've seen in any lab work done on any food.
Which doesn't make sense. It's like gluten-free, but then I'm guessing they put the glyphosate on the chickpeas or something?
Process it. I don't know.
Yeah. Also, who tested it? Was it the Gluten Council?
I don't know. You never know with these studies, but
yeah, it doesn't mean
you
that's so true.
So careful.
Yeah, it's so true. Just because it's gluten-free doesn't mean it doesn't have harmful stuff in it,
Ever since we moved in to our home, we've been shopping at the farmer's market, and they're not allowed to use pesticides in the farmer's market. So that's pretty cool. So every Saturday we go and we try to get all of our groceries from there. Of course, like I said yesterday, I needed stuff, so I went to the grocery store, and who knows what kind of glyphosate was on the food I bought. But you can't be perfect.
It's impossible to be perfect. Yeah. We just have to try your best to do what you can and what's within your means. Yeah. So I think the one thing just to clarify too is just go for natural foods. Even when it's gluten free, it's still processed. For example, like pasta or crackers or chips, it's still processed. It still has stuff in there that's not the best, even if it's gluten free. So just go for the natural foods, like rice, potatoes, sweet potatoes, meats, proteins, things that are just naturally occurring that don't have additional things added to them. So
exactly.
Cool. So with that said, let's go. Actually, let's take a little break. All right, I did the second.
Okay.
Let's go to wins of the week. So if you're going into the new year and you need some motivation, you need to see how other sisters are managing their PCOS and losing weight. We have some great motivational messages. We'll even share them on the screen if this YouTube video does get released, in fact. So, Talian, tell us who the first win of the week is.
The first one is Kimberly, and I won't say her last name. She's from the sisterhood.
Privacy concerns.
I always say the last name. She says, "Hey sisters, adrenal fatigue and insulin resistance over here. I just completed my first 7-day stage 1 of the process." She's in the sisterhood. She says, "I have so much to share, so let's dive in. I was able to be 98% gluten and dairy free. I finally found vegan cheese that I love. I lost 6 pounds. I also gave up caffeine. I started Ovasitol a couple weeks ago and have noticed my cravings for carbs and sugar have significantly decreased. I've been taking CBD. I have noticed I'm more alert in the morning and throughout the day, even without coffee. I also learned my lesson. Yesterday I was going to the grocery store and walked by mushroom ravioli and quickly backed up and grabbed it. Looked at the package, not gluten-free, but decided it wasn't that bad. Also decided I want warm cookies and milk, so got those too. Not because I craved them, just wanted them.
Sounds like
got
Christmas
home,
time.
Ate dinner, then made cookies and had milk. 10 minutes later, if that, I had a headache. My stomach was upset and I didn't sleep well at all throughout the night. I take this as a win because it helped me learn that I really do need to be gluten and dairy free. Excited to continue on this journey with everyone. Keep it up. That's amazing.
Yeah, great job, Kimberly. And when it comes
That's
to
great.
like it's like when you go gluten or dairy free, you don't realize that some of the symptoms that you've been feeling that whole time was gluten or was dairy. It's
You just thought it was normal to be bloated after every meal.
Or sluggish or tired immediately after. But then you
Totally.
realize after you cut it out for a certain amount of time and you introduce it back in, that's when you're like, oh, wow, it was actually causing this or that. So great job, Kimberly. And, some of this process, like if you have insulin resistance or adrenal fatigue, she did a great job. Giving up caffeine is not easy. Just reducing caffeine too will really help with adrenal fatigue, which we'll get to as one of our next PCOS types. But
a round of applause for Kimberly. Thank you. Okay.
All right. Cool. Our next one of the week is from Madara. I hope I'm saying your name right. I just want to say it the perfect way possible. Madara. All right. She says, today I got great news. I did my blood test and these are the results. My insulin levels went down from 45 to 23. She says the normal is 25. That's amazing. She went from way over to below average, which is so good. My insulin resistance levels went down from 11.3 to 3.1. The norm is 2.
Oh, that's so
cool. She literally she divided her original insulin resistance levels by 3. So that's amazing.
That's amazing.
And yeah, that's.
Was there anything?
She says not perfect, but I'm getting there. No, you're doing so good, Madara. Great job.
Look at you, because PCOS is manageable, and you're just showing it through your lab work, and I just love that for you.
Another
round of applause.
Yes.
Now let's get into adrenal fatigue, third type of PCOS.
All right, a little break from the podcast. With the new year approaching, we have a special promo coming on January 1st for anyone who's looking to kickstart their PCOS journey.
It's our 4-week meal and workout plan. This is a step-by-step video tutorial on exactly what to eat, exactly how to work out to lose weight with PCOS. And we've had sisters lose like up to 12 pounds in just 4 weeks after not losing any weight with PCOS. I've designed all of the meals, worked with a chef to make sure that they're delicious, and the workout videos are so much fun.
Yeah.
So
full length workout videos for each workout session. So you get to do a group workout with us and other fellow sisters in the video.
Exactly.
And all this is actually going to be free starting on January 1st until January 7th when you sign up for an annual plan in the sisterhood. But not just that, the annual plan will be 40% off. Plus, you'll get a $250 off lab kit voucher to help you start learning about your PCOS, to do a lab kit with a follow-up 30-minute call. All that is included part of your annual plan in the sisterhood.
Yes, and you'll get a downloadable recipe book with all of the sisterhood recipes. So you can print it out if you want, and you can have all of them available right at your fingertips. We are providing you with everything you need to help you reverse PCOS this year, starting January 1st until January 7th.
Yes, check out PCOSweightloss.org or the link in description to learn more.
Okay, adrenal fatigue. So this type often goes unnoticed. Around 30% of women with PCOS have it. And, sometimes we just accept our symptoms and we're just tired all the time. So we pound the caffeine and we just like, whatever, this is how I am, right? But did it ever cross your mind that it might be an issue, like a health issue that you can reverse? Adrenal fatigue. Major symptoms are feeling exhausted, feeling chronically stressed, even when there's nothing stressful happening, almost like looking for stress, losing your hair, and having irregular periods, and just always feeling like you didn't get any sleep, even though you slept for hours. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so one of the major signs actually, and I remember being like this, is feeling addicted to really high intensity workouts that pump your adrenaline. And you think that this is really good for you, and you think that you're pouring sweat, so you're losing weight, and you don't realize that you're just addicted to that adrenaline rush. And the more high cortisol you have, the more cortisol you chase. And, if you're crashing and burning after your workout, you're not even seeing weight loss results from working out that hard, then what is the point? You are just perpetuating the adrenal fatigue. And me and this other girl, we used to kickbox together, and she was like, I have PCOS. They told me not to work out like this, but I'm still doing it because I feel good. And in my head, I was like, maybe we shouldn't be doing this. Like, and then it occurred to me later that it was an addiction, like to be addicted to that adrenaline.
Well, it also makes you feel like you have to feel exhausted or feel like your whole body is like just like fatigued out to feel like good, to feel like you did something. And that's like the biggest misconception, not just for PCOS, but for everybody who's working out. Like even if you're just working out to body build, you don't have to be completely exhausted to know that you're going to build muscle. And in terms of PCOS, you don't have to burn 500 calories every workout. You don't have to be sweating from everywhere to feel like you had a great workout. It's really about putting the time in. Like we talked about earlier, like insulin, when you do a slow weighted workout, the next day your insulin resistance, insulin sensitivity improves by up to 50%. So if that's the case, imagine, like we said earlier, doing it 3 times a week for several months. That's gonna compound. You know, a lot of times the accountants will be like, compounding interest. Hold on, I'm gonna use this is not a good spot to use this sound bite, but I have no other place to put it. Rim shot. All right, so I forgot where I was. You go ahead.
I don't know what you were saying about compounding, but let's just get into what your next steps are if you have adrenal issues. So what you want to do is focus on lowering the stress hormones so that you can produce the other hormones that are necessary for ovulation and for your, for example, you're not going to make enough progesterone because everything's going towards making more cortisol. So what are your next steps? We have to cut down the caffeine. Stop pounding the caffeine, everyone. Sound effect?
I only have an applause.
Choose
and I don't
one.
think people
Choose
are going
one.
to applause
Quick.
for it. Okay, I'm going to do the one that we haven't done before. It made no sense.
Well,
That soundbite.
okay. Basically, stop with the caffeine. Okay. It's putting you on this endless roller coaster of getting energy, then crashing, more caffeine, more energy, more crashing, and it's pumping more stress hormones. Just think of how your body is addicted to the adrenaline, like we mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
And then the next step is to swap out your workouts.
Oh, sorry. I want to just add to the caffeine part because we don't want to like scare people and be like, or make people feel like they have to just like immediately stop drinking caffeine. Just want to give an example, and same thing with workouts too. So if you're drinking caffeine, let's say you have 1 cup, you have your second cup, you start feeling jittery, you start feeling you're having a panic attack. If you're easily getting stressed out while working or school or whatever it is, and like you feel like irritable, moody because after drinking caffeine, that's a sign that it's spiking your cortisol levels and essentially making your PCOS symptoms worse. So if that's the case, try to cut it down to half a cup of coffee and then eventually no coffee and see how that goes. And try doing that for like 3 to 6 months to kind of balance out your levels. Because what happens with caffeine is just like a drug. If you continue drinking it every day, your tolerance builds up over time. But what happens is you keep drinking more caffeine, the more your cortisol is getting spiked. So by just resetting your tolerance for 3 to 6 months, and maybe then starting with only 1 cup of coffee per day in the morning before 12 may be a better approach than just drinking coffee throughout the day. Because you think it's giving you energy, but in reality, it's actually forcing you to depend on it and then giving you crashes throughout the day.
I totally agree. And there's a lot of cool alternatives that you can have. You can have decaf coffee. You can have a latte with like almond milk and use those like foamers and make the almond milk foamy. Right now I'm drinking the testosterone relief tea, and I actually boiled it with apples, oranges, cinnamon sticks, and cloves. And I simmered it, and it just tastes like Christmas.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah,
I mean, I'd rather have this than go to Starbucks and have like a Christmas latte.
Could you hand over the box?
Oh,
I just want to show everyone
For YouTube.
for YouTube. So when you get this box, it comes, this is the testosterone relief box. You get it. Oh my God. Okay, so much noise. You open it, and it has 2 of these. Each of these has 15 tea bags in it, and they're in these like foil packages because it's not foil actually, it's compostable, but essentially it's nitrogen sealed for freshness. So until you open this, it is 100% fresh. So let's go ahead and open it. Some people may like the ASMR of this, so. Oh, the smell is amazing.
I know.
So once you open it, you'll see that each dose comes in this non-plastic tea bag. I want to mention, because a lot of times people will comment, be like, I can't believe you're using plastic tea bags. Even though
And I just want to be like,
we've said it a million times, it's plastic.
Girl,
but we get it.
am
We
I
get the
crazy?
confusion. Yeah. These are made of corn and cassava fibers. And then they're woven together without any glues or synthetic materials. They're woven
Heat
together
treated.
with heat and vibration. So very cool. You put one of these in your hot tea, boom, and then just enjoy.
yes.
All right.
Okay, so that's your next step if you have adrenal fatigue.
Yes.
Next, the fourth piece. Oh, wait, before we get into it, I wanted to mention that another next step is to swap those crazy workouts over to the slow weighted workouts.
Yes, exactly. And then lastly, stop cutting calories, because what happens when you cut calories is it puts your body into a state of stress, because what your body thinks is, oh, we don't have resources, we don't have food, therefore let's shut down our metabolism, let's shut down fertility so that our body can focus on feeding itself. So this is just like a survival tactic that our bodies do. So if you, let's say, cut your calories strictly, let's say you're eating like 1,200 calories for several days, weeks, your body will go into basically a stressful state.
You said it. All right, the fourth PCOS type is hypothyroidism, and it looks really similar to PCOS itself. So this is when your thyroid gland produces too little thyroid hormone, and these hormones are responsible for your metabolism. They have a lot of influence on your sex hormones, and if you don't have enough thyroid hormone, it leads to so many devastating symptoms of PCOS, similar to the symptoms of PCOS. And so some of those symptoms include irregular periods, losing a lot of hair, insulin resistance, and just having a really slow metabolism and gaining weight. And so one of the major factors that contribute to hypothyroidism is insulin resistance. So it's really important to manage your other PCOS types so they don't snowball into more conditions. So if you have insulin resistance, it goes unmanaged for a while, you might develop thyroid problems. Not everyone, but some people. So one can lead to the next. Yeah. Isn't that interesting?
Oh yeah, 100%. And it's like a vicious cycle too.
Yeah.
So one makes the other one worse, and if that gets worse, and the other one gets worse again.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just a vicious cycle.
So you definitely want to have a thyroid panel done. That's your first step. If you have like extreme hair loss, you cannot lose weight, you did all the things for PCOS, you know what? Maybe you have a thyroid problem. Let's get some lab work done. Maybe you need medication. Let's figure this out.
Yes.
So that's like one major step. And then the next major step is to try going gluten-free.
Yeah.
Because studies show that gluten has this protein called gliadin in it. And through something called molecular mimicry, if you're sensitive to gliadin and you eat it, because it looks like the thyroid molecule, your body will attack the gliadin and attack your thyroid molecule and weaken your thyroid. It's called molecular mimicry.
Yeah, like your body basically, the body's response every time you eat gluten is to make antibodies to gliadin, and then that basically attacks your thyroid because
as well,
it looks the
'cause it
same.
looks the same, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, so studies show like if you have hypothyroidism, you should really try going gluten-free to
Yes.
see how you feel.
Yes. I feel like the science on gluten and dairy and like PCOS is like widening and widening, and
I
more and
know.
more stuff is coming out. So it's really good to see that happening, and
I'm enjoying it.
more and more eyes opening up to it, more and more ears opening up to it. I see more dietitians recommending it, which is so good. So, and doctors as well. So really awesome. We just recently got an amazing actually message. I should share it on the screen if we do YouTube. But basically, someone went into their doctor's office, and the doctor literally said, "Oh, by the way, I forgot their initial message, but the person basically said, "Oh, I'm taking these supplements, and I joined this app." And then the doctor was like, "Yes, I love that app. I actually recommend it to my patients." And
That's
then
so cool.
it was like amazing. It was an amazing message. It made our day because it's like something we never like contacted doctors to be like, hey, talk
Yeah.
about us or something. But to know that it's naturally people are finding it to be helpful is so cool. So we'll
I
share that
know.
message on here, and you can see that that really cool candid moment.
We have some amazing messages from people who have had life-changing results using our app.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying that, like I have an album full of like hundreds of screenshots. We screenshot everything that comes our way that's like a positive transformation message because it's like our life's work. Like that's what we do it for. That's like the dopamine we get out of like working for, PCOS.
Yeah.
And so, when like a doctor recommends us and we didn't even say anything and like it was just through word of mouth and like natural results, that like means so much to us. So, if you're a doctor or if you know anyone or if you're a doctor and you're watching, please by all means reach out to us. We want to know, if it's helping, if our program is helping you, if our method is making a difference.
Yeah. And if you're also a follower, listener to this podcast, please comment and let us know if there are doctors you recommend to other people in your area. We love to share that and we want to create like a doctor database so people really know if they're in a certain city or zip code, they know like trusted resource to help them in their PCOS journey. So with that said though, so we talked about the different PCOS types and the resolutions. We really hope that these steps are able to, did we talk about resolutions for thyroid? We did. Okay. So try to combine these if you have multiple types, but remember to start with one step at a time. Don't like do every single suggestion all at once because it's not going to be sustainable. It's going to be really hard to make it all synergistically come together. So check out the quiz in the bio. It's completely free. It takes about 1 to 2 minutes and will help you with your PCOS type. And then afterwards, you can see your next steps and go from there.
Yes.
And remember, it's the first step of your PCOS journey. So don't put a lot of pressure on yourself. It's going to go great for you. And just take it one step at a time.
Yes, do the best you can and let us know how it goes. And if we post this YouTube video, by all means, comment below and we will respond.
Yes. All right, everybody, take care. We love you. Hope you have a great rest of your week and we'll see you on the next episode.
Talk to you soon. Bye.